Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We are going to go over the Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365. This is going to be a product demo of the Veeam Backup for Microsoft 365, and we're going to go through the installation and deployment. I just have a couple of slides, and then we'll jump right into said demo. A little bit about the webinar. The webinar is being recorded. You can find it on our website afterwards. I think it takes about 2 days for it to get up there, but you were automatically muted upon entry. If you do have a question, please drop it in the Q&A or the chat functions. I usually wait till about 20 after to answer said questions. And then, of course, there it is. We'll post the recording afterwards. A little bit about this particular product if it is new to you. So this product will back up all of the Microsoft Exchange data, whether it lives in the cloud or on-prem, and also SharePoint Online, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. One of the main things, of course, is going to be that backup control. So Microsoft not responsible for any of the user data. They are only really responsible for the infrastructure on which the program, let's say, runs on. You can back up weekly, daily, or even every 5 minutes if you'd like to. And then, of course, you have the flexibility of storing the data locally on-prem if you have a big, lots of extra space, or you're going to get some type of drive, disk-based storage, or if you'd like to keep it off-site altogether and maybe just keep it in the cloud somewhere for that safekeeping. That is also totally doable. Over 50 different ways to restore objects. I will show you a few of those. And then, of course, the powerful e-discovery, which is basically our advanced find feature, which is awesome. And we'll take a look at that also as well. Today, again, installation and deployment of the Veeam Office 365 program. We'll run through the first time setup, navigating and learning the user interface, of course. We will walk through an initial backup job and an example of a recovery or two. And then, of course, the credentials and password management, we'll talk about that as well. Here you have the backup for our Office 365 program, and you can protect, of course, the cloud data and your on-premises data as well. And then, of course, you can store it anywhere, like we were talking about just a moment ago, either locally or in the cloud somewhere. And then now in the latest version of the program, you could actually make a copy somewhere. So if you were, let's say, going from the cloud and you wanted to put a copy locally on-prem, you can do that. You can do it locally and then a copy to the cloud. So really endless choices. And then really the most important thing to me anyway is the recovery, because anybody can back up the data, but it's all about getting it back. You want to know you can get it back, right? So we have the explorers that basically drill down into the backups so you can grab, let's say an individual email versus an entire inbox. And then, of course, now we do have the Veeam One integration with the Office 365 program, which is pretty sweet as well. And if we had some time to take a look at that. All right, see, wasn't kidding. Let's pop right into the demo. Here is our user interface. For those of you who are, let's say, maybe not familiar with Veeam, Veeam is actually just the software. So you would need to you are responsible for deploying the software. It is a Windows-based application. And again, you can install this on any Windows OS server, whether that be physical or virtual. However, I always tell folks, you got to think about the way that the data is going to flow. So if you take something from Office 365 and you pull it down locally because you want to store it locally, okay. Right? You got some disk-based storage. The first backup is going to take the longest, and then it's just incrementals. However, if you're going to go to an object storage repository, we recommend deploying the software on a VM in the cloud somewhere. So Veeam has a pre-built VM in either the Azure Marketplace or the AWS Marketplace, and you basically could just sign up for this VM. And when you log in, you're basically met here with this particular console, and it wants to know really where you'd like to store your backups. So Veeam, very wizard driven, just give it a name, and we'll just call this cloud repo for the moment. And for sake of conversation, let's just say we use the blob, right? So if we're going to go to Azure Blob, come in here, go through the wizard, and really you're attaching that storage to the software through the credentials. Now, if you want to make a copy to a secondary repository, be it, call Wasabi, right? You'd just come in here and literally run through the wizard and add in a secondary repository. So now that you have, let's say, the space in the cloud, you need a folder to basically point to. And now this is where, if you're just keeping it on-prem, this is where you'd start. So basically add in that repository. Now you're going to just call it a folder or a name, right? V0365 backups, whatever you want to call it. And then this is where you're just pointing to basically that folder that we made. So here, if you're saving it locally, you just back up to a local disk, boom. Or here, if we're going to back up to object storage, well, now we're going to reference the repository we just added. So here, it's going to ask you for the path to that particular folder that you just want to land those backups on. So if we pick here, backup, and then I'm just going to go next. So if you're landing locally, you could skip this step, but if you're going to the cloud, this is the credentials that you used when you made that folder. I didn't want to go to the cloud there. I don't know why that didn't let me go there, but let me edit this guy just to show you what it looked like. So again, this one's going to object storage, this one going to a specific folder right here. And then this is what I was showing you is the object storage that you're landing on. And then the retention. So this is the main difference between our regular Veeam backup and replication and this product. The retention is set on the repository level. So this is where you get to keep, choose how long you want to keep your info for. If you just pick 7 years, that's all good. So once you have that repository attached to the program, you'll come on over to the organizations tab. And then this is really where you're going to have Veeam reach out to your organization. So hit this add organization button. And by default, Veeam will save the Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams information. But if you'd like to save the private Teams chats, you'll have to hit this check mark. And I would recommend reading this article because Microsoft charges you per API call to read each one of those messages. So, that's like if I send somebody a direct message and we're talking about lunch on Friday. Now, if you have a team group chat, that gets saved underneath the regular Microsoft Teams. This is just literally private chats. This is going to have you sync with your modern auth. So basically your Azure AD. And you'll go to Azure AD, you'll download a certificate, and then you'll install it into the program. And this is what gives Veeam the permission to connect and grab your organization. And you'll see it load right here. So once you've done that, you could actually then make the backup job, which is just a little gear with the plus, give it a name. And then here you get to pick how you'd like to actually grab that information. So you can back up the entire organization. That'll grab everybody and everything in Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. Now, minus the private chats, unless you turned it on. And it's also dynamic. So as you add users or sites, share, groups, whatnot, this will automatically pick them up as long as they're a licensed user on the O365 side and you have enough licenses on the Veeam side, right? Or you can come in and you can back up specific, we call them just objects, whether you wanted to make different jobs for whatever reason. I have folks make all their teams in one job, maybe all their sites in one job, but it's just as easy as clicking in here, picking and choosing, let's say, what you want to back up, and then just add them to the said backup job. Now, I will tell you this also, if you go with the backup entire organization on this next screen, you can actually exclude items. So if this is easier, great. If you want to set up individual jobs, that is also a-okay. The next step here is just pointing at that repository that we wanted to land on earlier. And then the last step is just picking the schedule. So, how often would you like the job to run? You could, like I said earlier, run it once a day, literally every 5 minutes, once a week, totally up to you. If you had a different repository that you wanted to just send a copy to, you just hit this little backup copy job button, and then you'll get to choose which repository to send it to. And it also has a, if it's taken too long and maybe I don't want it to run during specific times, you could actually turn on and off specific times for the job to run. That's really use case, if I'm running it locally on-prem and I have not the best bandwidth, right? So that's how to install it, set it up. We added the repository, we made a job, and then now we need stuff back, right? So bread and butter. You can choose to either take a look at the last snapshot that was made, or you could go back to a specific point in time, whether that's in Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, or Teams. I came from an IT support role, and I'd always have to do recoveries. I did not have Veeam at the time, nor did I know about it, but this would have saved me a bunch of time. So really, let's say Bob in accounting, threw out 10 emails he needed last week, and they were all marked super urgent, but he deleted them anyway, right? You can actually go back in here, pick whatever day you need, and then hit this browse button, and it's actually going to go launch the backup from that particular day and mount it, so you could have a little look-sees in there and maybe grab what you need. Right off the bat is this advanced find. So you could get pretty nitty-gritty with your searches, or you could do kind of broad searches. You could even add in specific criteria. So let's say here there's over 50 different fields to choose from, and this guy, I need to search for job title, maybe contains manager, and then I want to add that to my list. And then not only that, but now I want to search for, maybe there was a specific date range that I may have received the email, right? So I want to see, okay, between these specific dates, do I have any emails with the word manager, right? Now, obviously it takes a few minutes, I'm not going to run it, but you'd see messages, attachments, and PDFs actually start to populate here with whatever type of criteria you put in at the top. Makes it super easy to find things. You can do that on a data store level, or you can do that on an individual level as well. But coming down into the particular user, let's say this guy got deleted from O365 or tombstoned, whatnot, maybe comes back to the company after some time away. You actually have the ability to restore this user right back into O365 directly from here. You can restore to a different location. Maybe you want to bring it down on-prem, get the data. You can even make a PST file of this particular user as well. So this is super handy. Now, maybe I don't need the whole user. Maybe I just need those 10 emails we were talking about, right? you can actually come in here and get much more granular than just a whole user. So for example, if I come in and again, I'm missing the emails, I don't know which ones I'm missing, but it has a compare with production. So you literally could run a scan from the restore point you chose against that live production environment in O365. And it will actually show you underneath this item state if the emails have been changed or deleted. And then you have the choice to either click on it, make sure that's the email you need, or maybe you just want to recover those that were changed or deleted. So you can actually just right click those emails. You can restore them right back to the original time and date they were received by the user. You can restore them somewhere else, save them to the computer in a number of different ways, or you could actually email it to the user. So this will make it show up at the top of the inbox like it was a new email versus this one they have to go back and look for it, basically. I'll let you know also, you can recover an individual calendar event back to somebody's Outlook calendar if you were so inclined as well. And it also does have a compare with, production. And that way, in case they had deleted some events on accident, you could find them rather quickly. Those are my highlights on the Exchange piece. I see that question. Let me show one more Explorer and then we'll take a look at some questions there. So next biggest one I'd say nowadays is probably SharePoint. I'll just fire up that last snapshot of SharePoint and we'll take a look at this. This, of course, going to have that advanced find feature. All the Explorers have it. So again, easy to navigate. You can come down in, maybe this SharePoint site went down, you can actually recover it directly from here right back to where it came from or to another location. Again, really depends on what you're trying to do with the information. But most of the time, it's usually just something on the site either got corrupt or deleted by accident and somebody needs something back, right? So as you come in here and find whatever it is that you need, say we need this PDF, I could actually right click this. You can view the different histories, restore the document either to the same or a different location. You can save it to the machine you're on, or again, email it to, let's say, somebody who requested it. Let me take a peek at this question here. Let me see here. Am I understanding correctly that if I have a retention on a repo of 7 years, that I will be able to browse back up to 7 years? Yes, that is correct. So you basically hold the data for as long as whatever that retention period is looking like. So, I have some people keep it for a year, some people keep it forever. I'd say it really depends on what kind of company or organization, policies are in place. I feel like that's going to be different for every company. But no, good question. Thank you. Yeah, we got enough time here, so let's cruise forth. This was, again, the SharePoint. And if we dive in, we could take a look at the teams. The OneDrive Explorer literally looks the same as SharePoint because OneDrive lives within SharePoint. So teams, this is our newest Explorer here. And, not much magic. It's going to look pretty similar to the other ones. Again, got that advanced find feature. As you kind of drill down, you can come in and, let's say, find the team you need. I could restore an entire team. I could get granular with it. Maybe I just need a post or whatnot. You can come in here, restore the post. Well, this one's been deleted, but if it was still there. The files, of course, is going to be the same type of deal. So restore the file to the same location, different location, save it to the machine, email it. We give you all the options, folks, all the options. And then, of course, the tabs as well can get restored back into the team. So pretty fancy. Honestly, there's not much left. That's basically the program in a nutshell. And you do have the standard reports are going to be, mailbox protection. is everybody getting protected? And that'll give you like a report on mailbox and its status. And then also what's cool is the storage consumption, how much space am I taking up? But yeah, no, folks, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. Hope everybody learned something and found this helpful. And let me show you this here. This is really just where can I get all this stuff, resources, right? So Veeam.com, download if you want to test out the product. We do give you a free 30-day trial, or you could have a free unlimited up to 10 users. That's it, folks. Thank you again for joining, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their afternoon. But yeah, thank you.